This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. At this point, we are a little over 2 years into our project. The original estimate for man hours on this project was about 10,000 hours. Our first year, we did about 4,800 man hours, but we found out that we needed a little more rest than that.
It's getting hard on me.
Mad pace. So the second year was 3,750 man hours. And this year so far, we've put in 850 hours for a total of 9,400 hours.
Right, and that's pretty close to that 10,000. We've got a little left to go. But, you know, that 10,000 was mostly to get the boat itself built, what they call, I'm showing the shell. And we just about have that. There's still some to go, but we've got, you know, not too many pieces left from the original kit. And it is really amazing to look back from the unloading of this kit, which was just a big pile of flat little pieces, to now there's a boat there that we walk around in, so it's pretty exciting. But the shell of the boat is certainly a big milestone for us, but there's still a lot of finish work to go, and we're going into that phase now. In fact, you know, we just put the first Alexial paint on to bulkhead number 6 and on the edge of the stairway, and that's sort of the beginning of the finish work that we're going to be doing for quite some time. And we're just guesstimating that that's going to be probably a year and a half from now before we can get to the end of that. So quite a bit more work to go. But we're hard at it, and we're going to go right over to the lot and get a lot done this week. And with the Admiral and Brian's help, we'll push this forward. And of course, our good friend Jeff has been helping quite a bit as well. I just want to throw that in there. He's putting in some hours, and so that's helping us along as well. So let's get over to the lot and get to work. Do I look tired? Well, I am tired already because I've been up in the ceiling sanding and cleaning, because we're about to put on our tabbing up here at the bow of the boat on the starboard side. Now, remember the other day we did the section over here and the section up here, but we just ran out of temperature when we could epoxy, so we had to leave 2 sections undone. So today, it's early in the morning, it's going to be hotter than Hades today, but we can epoxy till about noon, and then after that it's going to be too hot to epoxy. I got some other plans for what we're going to do in the afternoon that won't involve epoxy, but this morning, while we can, we're going to get this bow a little further along, and so we'll start right here, and then I'll move over to the bigger one section over there in a moment. All right, let's get this tabbed in up here. Ready for our thin epoxy that we'll coat next, and then we'll get our 2 layers of tabbing on here and peel ply. And as soon as that's done, we're going to mix for the next compartment over and do it just like this, just a lot larger. Moving on. And best yet, I didn't get any epoxy in my hair yet. So we finished tabbing all the way around, and that one over there as well. And that completes all of that kind of tabbing for this deck piece all the way back to bulkhead number 5. 5 is one of the major bulkheads of the boat. It's not Big Bertha, that's 6, way down the other side of the hallway area there. But this is still an important one, goes right underneath the windows, goes all the way across the boat. And that's why there's this opening like this, which, why is it just wide open for the getting into the bed? Because this bulkhead needed to have strength. And so if you will go back to one of the very earlier episodes, you can see where we put this thick of rope all the way around inside of this opening to make that incredibly strong again, because it has to handle a lot of flex from the boat. So. But this tabbing's done. There's a little bit left to go this direction on some of these deck pieces, and we'll get to that another day. That's as far as we're going to go today, just because it gets hot in here doing it, and it's already warming up. With that hot job out of the day, Brian and I are going to work on the cupboard here, and there's some customizations we need to do. This is the toe kick top of the toe kick piece, the base basically. And what you'll notice here when I put this in place, okay, so this matches up to the top of the toe kick, which is correct, but there's 2 wall pieces that go down here, and this is the top. This is the counter, so imagine that's up on top of there, but I'll put it down here because I want to hold it up in the air. What you'll see here is, although this is matching up to this corner here, it sticks out 3/4 of an inch or 15 millimeters or so, approximately, over there, and that's not right. Now, in the plans, what they had it doing is that this end was going past here, and this end was butting up against here. But we decided that we want both of them to butt up against the end, so we're just going to do is just trim off that 3/4 of an inch along that side to make it fit exactly here. Now the 2 pieces that the 2 wall pieces can just sit inside here and glue to the inside of these, which is a lot nicer. And then this is where the deep refrigerator, the one that goes all the way down to this level, sits, right here. And this is where a cupboard is for the kitchen. There's a cupboard here, like so. And where I'm standing is a stand-up refrigerator. How do we get this freezer in and out when we want to work on it? It's got a problem, we need to fix the compressor, we need to replace it, whatever. How do we get this out of here afterwards? And they're pretty heavy, those refrigerators. So just trying to lift it out here, you can't get somebody on this side because their cupboard's in the way. You can only get somebody on this side. Now we could leave straps inside that we could use to try and lift it up, but even if we stand on stuff, it's going to be an awkward lift with only about this much space when you get to the top between the cabin top and where the refrigerator is going out, and that's a very awkward lift for something that's extremely heavy. So that really really works for me. So what we're going to do is there's a piece that follows the outside of this right here, and then there's another wall that runs down the inside right here. It creates a small box right here, and we're going to make that box a separate piece completely, and we're going to make it so that it bolts on here and down there. And so later, when we want to get these freezers out, we can unbolt the 2 ends, take that whole box wall out, and take the freezers straight out this way. And that's a lot less lifting. We only have to pull them out. It's a little more work to set up this box, but not that much. About the biggest concern I had was rattle.
or vibration or squeaking because this isn't glued down. So we're going to have to put some kind of a soft seal along the bottom there that is not glued, but it's a seal that will keep it from squeaking and moving, but we can be peeled up if we need to take this out. So we're going to get to work on this, and the first thing we're going to do is trim that little bit off that we want to trim to make this two sides butt into here. So obviously this one doesn't need that because it fits perfectly right now, but that one does. So after having said all that to you about trimming off this edge, we decided not to. And a simple reason we're not going to trim it off is if we leave it, it leaves a 3/4 inch or 15 or so millimeter lip, which is going to be nice to grab a hold of when we want to lift this thing up. So we're just going to core that and round it off, and it'll just be something we can get a hold of to lift our countertop up. That works out a little better, so we're not going to cut that off. The only thing we are going to cut off is this little arm right here, because this little arm is the bottom of a toe kick that went all the way across the end here, so that if you had a flush mount refrigerator, which is what Schoening expected that we were putting in here, you could step up closer to it with a toe kick. But we're not putting a flush mount refrigerator in there. We're putting a stand-up floor model. It sits on the floor, and this toe kick would just be in the way of it going in or out. So it has to go. So we're going to get rid of that right now. Like that, no more. So what happened is the toe kick now will, the vertical board will come along here, out to here, and then turn and come across this way. And this is the space where the stand-up refrigerator sits in. There's a little gap here, and I'm not sure what I want to do with that yet, because the wall of the freezer is going to be here, and this is this gap here. And there's a possibility that I will cut in some shallow shelves right here, because this is right by the exit out of the salon. And if we do that, we have somewhere to put little stuff, keys, whatever we want to hang there until we're getting ready to go out the door, and we can grab them off of there. So that's a possibility. We're not going to worry about that today, though. Today we're going to continue on with this. So the next thing we're going to do is put the toe kick all the way around here. So that's next in the hit parade of work. Okay. Flip this upside down so we can glue these toe kicks on here. Before I start cleaning up, we'll dry fit them a bit and see if there's anything we need to modify or change or add or those kinds of things. And once the toe kicks are in place, the next thing I'll do is start putting the walls on, because I am going to be cutting a big drawer out of this right here. So it goes that way, so this will remain where it is, but the back of the drawer is here, and it goes out that direction into the galley. So I'll have to be cutting this off right here eventually as part of the drawer. And there'll be walls here and here, and that's where the drawer mechanisms will mount to that wall right there. We'll be getting to that soon, because we're going to get this whole thing built now. Well, it's going to be a hot week because it's going to be 94 degrees Fahrenheit, or this is Celsius, and that's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But Friday and Saturday are going to cool down to low 80s, which is much more comfortable. Again, that in Celsius. So what that means, though, is that just like this morning, we're going to start by epoxying something, and then the rest of today and this afternoon, we're going to chop and cut and prepare stuff to be glued, and just have it all ready to go. And then when we come in the morning, we just start gluing and glue it together. So today is all about planning and cutting and getting it all ready to be glued. Also, we can do some coring and that kind of stuff as well, because there's a lot of edges that have to be cored. on this as well. Brian got lost in the boat. It's that big a boat. He goes up there and he gets lost. Can't find himself. I've got one of them down here, Brian. I just found it. The little short end. I'm just looking for the two long ones. I'm working on this. Another small issue we're going to have is that this comes down the side here, and it's just hovering in space over here. So we have to glue on a little piece here so that this has something to land on as it comes down here. And this piece comes down this side over here like that, and so it has this little gap, and we'll have to glue a piece on here so it has something to land on. And all this is because we've modified it. This isn't a problem with the plans. This is a problem with our decision on what do we want to do for this. And since we've changed our mind, we're making little changes to make it work with our new configuration. But it's going to be so much nicer, so it's worth a little bit of work here to get this what we want out of this whole thing. Yeah, but give it just a second here. You can go ahead and put, just follow this line all the way down. So you're walking, so I'm going to go this way and you're going to follow me? Yeah. Well, that's one half the toe kick. We're going to get the other part of the toe kick on right now. And Brian's mixing up a new batch. I got to clean it up a little bit. I got it, all the toe kicks on. A lot of clamps because there was some warpage in these boards, but now we're just cleaning up and we're all set. You can flip this over tomorrow and start working on the actual cupboard rising up off of it. Okay. The old, it's good enough for now, walk away before we bump it. I'm in the starboard forward cabin, basically standing where the bed would be. And we've tabbed these in, but we haven't tabbed this direction. And so we're going to get the whole cabin ceiling tabbed up there. So there's 6 of these, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 here. So we're going to tab all of those this morning. And Brian is mixing as we speak, so I got to get to cleaning up here and get it ready. All right, let's get this nasty ceiling job done. What's doubly hard about doing a ceiling job? When you don't have a deck below, so I'm balancing on the top edges of a bulkhead or divider. So, you know, that fun. Next up, the drippy part. What number do we have there? We have nicely covered numbers, 43, 43, 42. They should be in one pile.
Okay, we got this all done now. So these three here and these three over here.
As part of our reconfiguring of the galley arm, we have to cut off low part here because this no longer goes all the way to the floor. It now sits up on top of where the toe kick goes. So we have to remove that amount of material here. And we're making a few other adjustments as we're trying to get this galley thing built. Problem with this one was there's a little notch out of this that was to do with how it was configured when we had the two freezers opposite, but we don't need this notch anymore, so we're going to have to fill this in. So we're creating a little piece right now that will fill that. You can see we're configuring this whole piece here, and this is where the deeper freezer goes, but this is where the shallower one goes. So we're putting this shelf in up here, and so we're working on getting this wall glued in, the end piece glued on, and the shelf put in between the two to support that other freezer refrigerator. So we've cut out the drawer. This is the front face of the drawer, and then it'll have another wall coming up like where this blue thing is right here. So the drawer will be here. So the handle will be here, but when you pull this face, it'll come out with the toe kick and everything will come out. And that's because if we didn't do that, the max height that this drawer could be is 7 inches, which is about here. And that's a very shallow drawer, but if we do this, we end up with about an 11-inch drawer, which is that in centimeters. So we want that 11-inch drawer because we want to be able to put pots and pans and things in this drawer. And so it needed to be deep, so we're using all of the space and just making this part of the front of the drawer. So this whole thing will just slide out as a drawer. But once you get beyond this little piece, it'll get deep again, you know, the full depth of it will be there. So it'll be a deep drawer, all except for this front little piece. I learned the trick of using the toe kick as part of your drawer from my father-in-law, who has passed away now. But when he built his kitchen, I went over to his house, and he had made drawers in every one of the toe kicks all the way around. It was a very shallow drawer, but you could put thin things in there. And so he turned all of the toe kicks into drawers. So this is similar. I'm just using the toe plus that additional 7 inches added to it, and gives me a bigger drawer. Otherwise, this space in here would have just been empty anyway. I've already cored the back here, and Brian's going to get the Dremel, and we'll fix the two corners that we can't get with our coring tool, because we have to seal this up. This is going to be exposed foam right here, and actually there's going to be exposed foam here as well, so I'm going to have to seal that. Let me get that prepped as well. Oh, somebody was asking about do we wear ear protection. We have earplugs, and you just don't see me put them in much, but they're in there. let that set up, and we'll go grab some lunch while it does that. And the next thing after that is going to be, we're going to glue the end piece on and put the shelf in that holds the smaller refrigerator freezer. We can't do that till this hardens up a little bit. Continuing our assembly, we just clamped on and glued our end piece here onto this, and that gives us these two walls, and that allows us to put the shelf in between them soon. And that shelf supports the shorter freezer right here. And we flipped it around, put the drawers on the other side now for this moment. But it's coming along. Next up is we're going to start building the box that goes in front here that holds the TV and can be removed when we want to get the freezers in and out from this side. So we're going to get to that right now. So I want you to sand this whole thing because we're going to put another layer of epoxy on here and for fairing. So while you're doing that, I am going to go over and work on the slider rail. Now, we had a bit of a problem with our slider rail. We put epoxy in here, and we didn't fill it all the way because we knew that a certain amount would come up when we pushed the bolt in, but the epoxy also, as it cured, it shrunk, and it went down too low to really hold our nuts in there well. So we pried the nuts back out again. That was some work, and now I'm just going to route these down again, and we're going to redo this this whole hole. So I'm going to do this while she's working on the stairs.
So we have a bit of a dip here that we want to fill. So Brian is mixing up some epoxy, and I just sanded this area. So now I'm going to get to cleaning it, and then we're going to apply that epoxy and smooth it out, and then we'll sand it again. Putting our shelf in for the shallower refrigerator freezer here. And tabbing in a few other spots here as well at the same time. So we've got peel ply in here, got to get little bubbles out a little bit. Looks good. Tab down this side over here, underneath. All right. So this shelf now is in. I only need single tabs because it's just
shelf. Top and bottom single tabs is going to be plenty strong for what this has to hold. So we'll let that set up, and then we'll move on to the next phase. Now, at lunch we're going to go buy some hardware because we're missing some bolts. So we have to put some blocks in here. And these are going to be to screw the whole block's face into this thing. So, but we don't have the hardware for that, so we got to go buy that. So this can set up while we go shopping.
So the next thing we're going to try and work on is twisting the decks boards down on bulkheads 1 and 2 so that we can glue them in.
Well, the weather's overcast again, finally. So we're back to standing on the roof. We're just concentrating on this port side slope portion that we want to get really nice. So Brian's going to be working on that for a while. Meanwhile, the Admiral and I are going to get to work on sanding the stair for the helm area. Okay, now that the Admiral got this redone the other day, we're going to have to resand this whole thing so that we can get it for the first primer coats on a little later today. So she's going to work on that while Brian's working on the cabin top. You can probably hear him up there. And then I'm going to be down working on the galley arm. So while Marianne's up there sanding on the steps and Brian's up on the cabin top sanding that, I'm going to work on this is the front portion of the refrigerator arm in the galley that holds the television set and soundbar. And this is part of the system that we're going to have to be able to unbolt so that we can put the freezers in and out if we ever have to work on them. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating some blocks with some T-nuts on the other side, and we're going to core these out, fill them with epoxy, re-drill them again, which is what I'm going to work on right now, the coring. And then I'll coat all these blocks in epoxy, and they'll get glued on over here, and then this can bolt through onto them. So that's what these are for. We'll set those aside for a minute while I get to drill out here.
With that job done, Marianne and I started working on the port side sugar scoop, and these are the walls that will support either side of the Kickup rudder box. Marianne's coring out the last bit of foam with the Dremel.
So we've cored out around the Kickup rudder boxes here, part of foam that's going to be exposed later to water. So we're going to fill that with thickened epoxy. So I'm going to put the bead in, and then Marianne's going to smooth it out for me.
What about our hole?
Oh, we definitely got to get to the hole, sorry.
But we needed the bag for that.
No. I'm going to do the proctologist method. We're working further on our refrigerator freezer arm in the galley. And this is the face of the drawer that's going to go in here. So that's going to sit right here, and it'll have a handle here, and you'll slide the drawer out like this. And once you get past this little foot kick part, it'll get deep right here. So that's what that's where that goes is right there like that. Now it's higher on purpose than the bottom here, but there's going to be a small piece that we put and glue on down here to keep water from sliding underneath. But we didn't want this so low because we're going to have flooring out here that has to come over, and we made sure that there's enough space there for the flooring and a little gap as well. So what we're doing now is we're going to route off these corners here on this side and on this side, and then we'll cove the inside of these two, and we're going to take and put fiberglass on both sides to strengthen this face of the drawer up on here. So we'll work on that right now. Meanwhile, when I say we, that's Jeff and I. Brian's up on top of the boat because, as you can see again, we have gray skies. So we put Brian back, Mr. Sander up there again, and he's working on that. And so Jeff and I already worked on the steps a little bit. I didn't film anything there because we didn't really do much. I just sanded it, getting ready for paint. But we have a question on the Alexial paint mixing, and I had to put a question into Alexial, and so I'm waiting on a response from them. But we're not going to stand around. While we're waiting for that response, we'll get to work on this. Now the other thing I didn't show you yesterday that we did is this is the face of this, and we created this angled piece. Go like this here to get the proper angle because the other side of this is angled, and so this is all set now. This angled wall is made, and it's actually a double angle because once it makes this bend like this, this one then bends again over like that, so that this piece gets in line with this one, but there's a little jog there in the middle. And so this is curved already. We didn't want to glue it yet because we want to get this on, and then we'll match this up to it and glue it like that. And then we'll have to tab this as well. All right, but back to the drawer. Now we won't be able to finish this drawer today. We can just do the work on the face because we haven't got the hardware yet. It's on order, but we don't have the stainless steel soft close rails that go in here, so we don't know for sure exactly how wide to make the drawer part yet. I want to make sure we get it right, so I want to get those pieces of hardware here. So they're coming, and we'll get to that when they arrive, probably next week. But we can fix this up right now. All right, smooth that out. Let me get the cup. We're all finished up with that. We did both sides. Working on the television, and the television is going to mount about right there on the face of this. But it's too low to see when the table is up. When the table's reclined at the main salon, you can see this just fine. That's great. But what if we want to look at this TV while the table's up? So we're putting in a swivel on this to bring the TV up like this so that we can raise it when we want to or drop it back down when we don't need it up there. And in order to do that, we're going to be mounting this bracket on, and that will allow the TV to, actually we'll swivel like this. It'll be on here, and then the TV can swivel up to an up position like that, high enough for us to see, or back down again like that. The problem is that this adds some thickness to it. And go ahead and take this off. There's another really big panel, which I'll represent with this little panel, but there's a big panel that sits right here, and this is the depth that we have to work with. The problem is that when we put this bracket here and then mount the TV to it, the TV would stick out by about 10 millimeters or a little more than a 1/4 inch sticking out. We don't really want that. We want it to be flush. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a hole out and mount a wood backing plate to that so that this bracket insets into this panel. It does two things for us. It gets us that room we need to get the TV flush, and it also gives a wood panel to bolt this into rather than foam. So that works out for us. So right now we're going to go ahead and cut a piece of marine plywood. So here's our little cutout for the bracket. And if I had a mask, I'd cut this. Okie dokie. Perfect. That's what I was thinking.
Sure.
I'm sticking with that story. I'm going with it.
Brian and Jeff are sealing the inside of the hole because we don't want moisture to get up into the foam. So and we're going to seal that up before we put the wood backing plate on it. And so we'll get that done today, let it set up, and then actually we'll probably put the wood backing plate on it today too.
Oh yeah, there's no way to connect it.
Yeah, go ahead and put it on. It's fine.
In the middle or
Right in the middle.
outside?
Right in the middle.
All right, so just to wrap up, we're just letting this set up. This is the back of the plate for the TV. I'm going to take epoxy once this is all glued on and seal it all up. Get the little cove on the side on there. And then we can get to it, but the next thing we're going to do is the outer plate. We're going to cut the TV out and get that hinge working on there. So it's getting close.
This week, with my help, we got started on the galley arm where our fridge and freezer are going. And next week, we hope to get that in place and ready to go.
Yeah, and also it's been our goal for a couple weeks to get these stairs at the helm glued in. And we are definitely going to get the stairs glued in. We're going to get the Alexial paint on the bulkhead 6 and on the side of the stairs, and we're going to glue it in. We're going to glue in the helm seat. We've got a lot of work we're going to get done on the helm, and like I said, like the Admiral said, we're going to get this galley arm in here, and it's been quite the custom, all our fault, but quite the custom changes made to that with so many different changes on it. But it's coming along, and it's coming out well, and we're real happy with that. So thank you all for watching this week and stopping by, and also thanks to our patrons here.
Yep, we could not do it without you. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click on the bell icon for next week's video.
Right, and Brian and the Admiral and I will see you next week for more boat work.
Bye.